Welcome back to the Gridiron Drive YouTube channel. We've got 4 more bold takes to fire your way today. 2 from myself, 2 from Pete. If you missed the last video, we already gave 4. Go back in the videos. If you were subscribed, you would have saw that. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like this video and comment down below. Let us know what you think of these 4 bold takes. If you've got any hot takes of your own ahead of the NFL season, we'd love to hear it. Let's get right into it.
This one is another fantasy one. I think that Jaylen Waddle outperforms Tyreek Hill in fantasy this year.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that
one. So basically, as Hill ages, Waddle, I think he's going to become the focal point of the offense. And he's going to emerge as the true number 1 in Miami with more targets and more touchdowns. And book this one. He's going to be a top 5 wide receiver this year. Tyreek's been incredible, right? I mean, listen, over the last 7 years, he's finished top 8. Yeah, top 8 or better in PPR, 6 out of 7 of those years. First or second, he finished 4 times the last 7 years. But I think, just like anybody, he's starting to break down a little bit. You see it. He's starting to get a little bit more injured. He's starting to kind of hint, he wants another contract. He didn't get that contract, right?
They made an adjustment to it. I forget the specifics of it, but I think they moved some money around or tacked on some more guarantees.
Right. Well, I don't think that matters anyway. I just still think he's breaking down a little bit. And the only thing that's kind of hindering this is that Waddle possesses a little bit of injury risk himself. But I just think this is inevitable. He was drafted to be their number 1 guy. Then they just happened to be able to get Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
And it's he's not some random wide receiver too. He was a top 10 pick, right? Or was he top 10?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't have too much to support that with data or analytics. I just something I'm feeling. I figured I'd go for full first take on that one.
I dig it though. They just paid Waddle the bag.
Yep.
Waddle got his fat deal. Like you said, it's not like it was some guy that they took in round 2. They invested in an early pick in him, and the Tyreek thing was not a certainty at that point. That came out of nowhere. No, it's not that day was crazy. Remember that?
Yes.
Nobody was talking about the Chiefs moving on from Tyreek Hill, and it was 8:30 in the morning, and it was oh, the Chiefs might trade Tyreek Hill, and then by 9:30 it was okay, Tyreek Hill is going to be a Jet or a Dolphin, and it was what the hell is happening? And then, he was a Dolphin. That was the craziest escalation. It went from nobody was talking about Tyreek Hill getting traded to 2 hours later, he was a Dolphin. It felt like it went so fast.
I completely forgot that the Jets were even in that conversation. Oh my goodness, that's right. That was a great group chat day for us.
Yeah, that was a ride to be on. But hey, it could happen. Waddle's so interesting because they've used him in so many different ways. Where the rookie year, it was almost like they treated him like a possession guy, and then the yards per reception shoot way up after that. And, he's so unique, that he has legitimate game-breaking speed, kind of just like Tyreek. Maybe he's not as fast as Tyreek, but he's got legitimate home run speed and crazy acceleration, which is what is so nuts about him, or was so nuts about him to me, even coming out of Alabama, where it was he's super fast, but he gets there fast and kind of knows how to throttle it down and control it. He's a great player, and it wouldn't shock me. I mean, Tyreek's had a lot of, I don't want to say lucky breaks, but he's stayed pretty healthy recently. That's a big pace to sustain forever, what he's been doing.
And he's not a big man, He's relatively small in terms of NFL wide receiver standards.
Right. I got one that's going to take us to the AFC South. People aren't going to like this one.
I almost had an AFC South take. I want to hear this.
People are not going to like this one.
All right.
The Houston Texans.
I love it.
Missed the playoffs. They missed the playoffs. I think we have crowned the Houston Texans a little too fast, a little too quick. Because for as great as C.J. Stroud's rookie season was, Texans went 10-7. Okay, not bad. Not a bad season. The Jaguars were right behind at 9-8. And oh, hey, the Colts that didn't have Anthony Richardson for what? They only had him for like 4 games.
4 games.
Colts still went 9-8. I don't think it's crazy at all to think that the Jaguars win this division, or the Colts. I expect the Colts to be competitive. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a big Anthony Richardson guy, so I don't think the Colts are going to step back from 9-8. I think that's a good team that added more talent and gets their, young, super athletic quarterback back. No disrespect to Minshew Mania, but if the Texans don't win the division, I think it's tough sledding for 2 teams to come out of this division.
Yeah.
Because, let's see. So we'll have the AFC South division winner, right? With all 4 division winners. Let's just go there, right?
Right.
I expect 2 teams out of the AFC East. Okay, so there's 5 teams, right? The problem is I expect at least 2 teams out of the North. And I tell you what, it could be 3 teams that come out of the North. Because if whatever it is, Cincinnati wins or Baltimore wins, Baltimore, Cincinnati, and I'm like, we could do the dance or whatever. I'm not expecting Pittsburgh to just fade into obscurity. Because Pittsburgh had bad quarterback play last year. And they made the playoffs. So even if they have less than great quarterback play this year between Wilson, Fields, whoever they want to get out there, I mean, you can't just write it off. And like Cleveland has a great team. It's just we haven't seen Watson play good football in forever.
That's the problem.
And that's the problem. But the roster outside of him is pretty terrific.
Pretty elite.
So like if he could find it, like you can't discount Cleveland for that fact. So the point being, I think it's going to be tough for 2 teams to come out of the AFC South. And if the Texans barely won the division last year, in a year where the Colts didn't have their top 5 pick at quarterback for most of the season, and the Jaguars probably slumped at times a little more than they should have.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It wouldn't shock me at all to see the Texans not finish first in the division, even though we're all crowning. And I love C.J. Stroud. He's great. But I just think the Texans as a whole, maybe we got to pump the brakes on them being a legitimate, contender.
You know who agrees with you?
Who?
Las Vegas.
Oh, really? I didn't even look at the odds.
Texans are still favored, but the they're plus 105.
Okay.
The Jaguars are plus 270.
Okay.
And the Colts are plus 310. So that's not like...
Yeah, nobody's running away.
Yeah, there's no huge favorite there. I have the Texans as the 30th hardest schedule, so the second hardest schedule in the league. They had an incredible year last year. It's like a Cinderella type story. I agree with you, man. There's the AFC North and the AFC East. If they don't win this division, it's tough sledding, and people are burying Trevor Lawrence already. You've seen this
crazy,
like the post where like people compare his stats to Daniel Jones, and I, as a Daniel Jones stan, respect that. But they are not at the same caliber. Like they're not the same player.
No, we're
also
writing off Lawrence a little early, and like he lost Ridley, but they had Brian Thomas Jr. Like I don't know. I'm not expecting I'm expecting more out of the Jaguars, honestly, not less.
Mm-hmm. And the Colts too, man. I love their head coach. I think they're so forward thinking. I think they're going to maximize Anthony Richardson. It is not going to be a cakewalk for the Texans.
Definitely not.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I like that.
All right, what do you have next?
All right. My New York Giants hat on.
Do it.
This is almost like a 2-parter.
Okay.
And this is going to sound like insane. I'm looking at the odds for the NFC East, right?
Okay.
So the Eagles are the favorite at minus 140. The Cowboys, this is from FanDuel. I'm sure there's different odds, but they're all organized the same way. The Cowboys are plus 175. The Commanders are plus 1100, and the Giants are plus 1600. I'm asking. I think the Giants are the best bet in this division, not based on value. Okay.
Yes, I understand.
Okay. Because listen, 2 years ago, the Giants made the playoffs. Now, it was a bit of a fugazi run where they caught a bad Vikings team who had like an historically incredible run where they won 2-point games at like a historic clip. I forgot what it was, but they basically won a bunch of games that was a coin toss, and they won every one of those. And they beat them, and then they got throttled by the Eagles in the second round. But I like Dable so much that if Daniel Jones doesn't completely fall on his face, why not the Giants this year? They finally got their number one receiver, who I think, another hot take, I mean, he could be, it wouldn't be insane if he, had similar stats to Marv. Marv is a better player, but
I don't think the gap is that huge, but in the talent level between Marv and Malik.
Malik I like going to get force fed, yeah.
Barely more.
What's the rookie receptions? I don't know. What's the most rookie reception in New York? Because I think Malik might break it, or at least the targets. He might get 140 plus targets.
Yeah.
So they got the receiver. They added some legitimate players on the offensive line. Nobody that's gonna, they don't have any elite tier guys besides Andrew Thomas. But I just think that they've stabilized the offensive line to a degree that if they could just get league average, maybe even just bottom third. Last year, their offensive line was so bad that they legitimately could not play professional football. It was just so bad. Yeah. So I think, and we'll talk about this in our NFC East preview, I think the Eagles, they're still a great team. Fundamentally, they do all the right things. Their GM is incredible. But it's not I don't see them as this powerhouse anymore. They kind of proved that last year. And then the Cowboys, it's they have some really great players.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, they're kind of lacking in depth. So I'm not saying I think that the Giants will run away with this division, but I'm saying there is a world where the Giants win 10 games with a not insane schedule, and at plus 1,600, even I've seen it at plus 2,000, the Giants could be a decent bet, and you're not just donating money to Las Vegas.
I like it. I mean, there's definitely a world where it happens. There's definitely a path to it happening. Because I agree. I think the Eagles are a great team. I don't think they're invincible.
Right.
Hell, the Jets beat the Eagles last year with Zach Wilson at quarterback and missing both Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. There's paths to beating the Eagles. And I agree. The Cowboys have incredible high-end talent that they, for whatever reason, refuse to pay and drag it out longer than it needs to go. But, yeah, there's some questions, I think, in the middle of the roster there. Good players, but I think they also have a head coach who has I'm not a Mike McCarthy guy. I don't trust Mike McCarthy to get it done in crunch time a lot of the times. I think they could be a great regular season team that chokes it away at the end. But, yeah, I like it. What was it, plus 1,600 to win the division?
Plus 1,600, yeah.
Whew. All right.
Hold on. Let me add one more thing onto that.
Yeah.
I think Sirianni and McCarthy could be fired too. Boom.
Fire half the division.
That's it. I'm going to fire them all.
Yeah.
Dable for
When you're out. All right, you put your Giants hat on, so I got to put my Jets hat on here.
Let's go, sir.
Walk you down the path of what I think is going to happen. I'm going to give you some other players, okay? 2019, Christian McCaffrey. 1999, Marshall Faulk. 1985, Roger Craig. The Jets' take is that Breece Hall goes 1,000.
Ooh.
1,000 on the ground, 1,000 through the air. Just absolute video game mode.
I love that. I love
I
that so
really
much.
think that, I mean, it took them a hilarious amount of time to realize, like, oh, hey, Breece is a crazy receiving weapon. Like, it took way too long to realize it. But the clips that we see or saw seemingly every day at training camp practice where, you know, Breece Hall caught a fade in the end zone the one day. And Rodgers just rifling it in there to him. Like, it feels like every time they're in the red zone.
Yeah.
I think he is, and kind of like what we talked about with Kirk earlier in Atlanta. We know Rodgers likes to throw near the line of scrimmage anyway, and Garrett's going to get a lot of that. But I think he's going to love the ability to absolutely just check it to Breece and let Breece do what he does and live to fight another day. When you have a talent like him that is an absolute alien from a physical standpoint with legitimate home run speed wheels and strength to go with it, like, yeah, I don't think he's going to do a lot. As a 40-year-old coming off a torn Achilles, I don't expect him to do a lot of drop back, hold the ball forever, run around, and wait for somebody to break open downfield. Like, if it's not there, I think it's going to Breece Hall. I think he'll be second on the team in targets, honestly, because I think Mike Williams, I know, will be the wide receiver 2 on paper, but I think he'll be out there week 1, but it wouldn't shock me if it was like mostly as a decoy thing in week 1.
Yeah.
Or like, how much is he actually playing? You know, I'm sure he'll be on a snap count till he really gets his legs under him. I mean, outside of Garrett, it's like you have some guys that can play, but I think Breece will be the de facto wide receiver 2. And the way we saw Braylon Allen handle business this preseason and in training camp, I think we'll see a lot of times where Braylon Allen is lined up in the backfield and Breece is just motioned out to the slot. And Breece just lines up as a slot receiver where he's just running routes, you know, not even just wheel routes out of the backfield or something like that. We're just treating Breece like a slot almost. So it's hot. It's only happened a few times. Breece goes 1,000.
I absolutely love that. You know that I'm backing that completely. I mean, I have him as Offensive Player of the Year. So let's go, please. I would love to cash that bet.
Yeah.
It's not insane, man. I agree with you with Rodgers is 40. He's a guy who obviously is coming off injury, but he does not like to throw interceptions.
Yeah.
He
cares about that.
One of his biggest faults, if you want to fault him, is that he could sometimes not, take the shot because he doesn't want to get an interception. So when you have a freak talent who's right next to you, you're going to just dump it off to him and, let him get 15 yards or, let him get 8 yards. Why not?
Yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love that.
All right. We got any other last tidbits we want to throw in there before we wrap it up?
No, I think we got pretty spicy there.
I like it. I think there were some fun ones in there. Let us know what you thought. If you agree, disagree, have any takes of your own, if you're watching on YouTube, comment them down below. Let us know what you think of these takes, or if you've got takes of your own that you want to share. Or you can always let us know on Twitter, X, whatever it's called. I'm at Dynasty Drive. Pete is at Pietro Bets. We got spicy. We hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Keep the drive alive. Don't forget to like and subscribe.